Stop before you take another step. Look down at your change, because right now, across America, people are spending pennies worth more than their monthly rent. Not silver coins, not gold coins, plain, old, copper pennies, wheat pennies. From 1910, from 1918, from 1920, from 1944. Pressed in Philadelphia over 100 years ago, with no mint mark, and surfaces so dark and so old that most people throw them away without a second glance. But these pennies, these specific dates, are worth tens of thousands of dollars each. And the shocking truth, they are sitting in American homes right now. In old coffee cans, in forgotten shoeboxes, in your grandmother's coin jar. I'm going to show you exactly what to look for. Every detail, every date, every sign. Because one of these pennies could already be yours. Let us find it. Coin 1, 1,918 wheat penny. The bloodiest war in human history is finally ending. For 4 years, the fields of Europe had been soaked in the blood of young men from every corner of the world. American soldiers who had never left their hometowns were dying in French mud. Mothers were receiving letters nobody ever wanted to receive. Entire generations were being swallowed by a war that seemed like it would never end. And then, on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month of 1,918, silence. The guns stopped. The war was over. And in Philadelphia, inside the oldest mint in America, the presses kept running. A copper disc gets pressed. Abraham Lincoln appears. Wheat stalks rise on either side of 1 cent. No mint mark, no letter, just Lincoln. Just wheat, just 1 cent. This penny entered a world exhaling after 4 years of horror. A world that had lost so much and was desperately trying to find its way back. This penny passed through the hands of soldiers coming home, through the fingers of families reuniting after years apart, through a nation trying to remember what normal felt like. And over the next 100 years, it quietly transformed into something worth $114,000. Here's what makes this penny completely unlike anything else in this entire series. Every penny we have looked at carried darkness in its own way. The 1,940 penny went full black, absorbing the darkness of a world at war. The 1,942 penny wore soft light brown, tired from wartime circulation. But the 1,918 penny, the penny born in the year the world stopped fighting, developed something different. A light black layer, not full black, not brown, light black, sitting across the entire surface of the coin, front and back, like a thin, dark veil, like a shadow that never fully lifted. Like the penny remembered the war, even as the world tried to forget. Now here's what makes this specific surface characteristic so extraordinarily valuable. The 1,918 Philadelphia wheat penny was struck during a year when copper quality was inconsistent. The war had strained every resource America had, including the metal used for its coins. Certain dies that year produced pennies with a deeper than normal strike. Every detail pushed harder into the copper than standard production allowed. Those deeply struck coins, when they developed natural light black toning over a century, produced a visual effect that coin experts describe as almost three-dimensional. The dark layer sitting over the deep strike creates shadows and depth that make Lincoln's portrait look almost alive. Fine condition, meaning the coin circulated, was used, was touched by real hands in the real world, but held onto its detail through everything. Light black layer, deep strike, fine condition, no mint mark. Philadelphia. 1918. Documented in only a handful of verified examples worldwide. And that rarity, that perfect combination of history and chemistry, is worth $114,000. Here's your complete step-by-step guide. Find any old penny and look at the front. Abraham Lincoln facing right. Read the date with full attention. Does it say 1,918? If yes, everything else in your life stops right now. Look below the date for a mint mark. Search carefully. Any D, any S? If that space is completely empty, blank, no letter anywhere, Philadelphia made this coin. World War I was ending when this coin was struck. That empty space carries 100 years of history. Study the color very carefully. Hold the coin under direct light. Is the surface darker than a normal old penny? Not fully black, not deep brown, but a soft, even light black tone, sitting naturally across the entire surface. like a thin dark shadow covering the coin from edge to edge. That light black layer is your signal. Now check both sides. Is the light black toning on the front, across Lincoln's portrait and the surrounding area? Now flip it over. Is that same soft, dark layer present on the reverse, across the wheat stalks in 1 cent lettering? Both sides showing the same light black character, front and back matching. That bilateral toning is critical. Look through the darkness, through that light black surface on the front. Can you still clearly see Lincoln's portrait? Can you read the date 1918 without straining? Can you make out "In God We Trust" above his head? Now the reverse. Through the dark layer, can you still identify the wheat stalks on both sides? Can you read 1 cent clearly? Fine condition means the coin has been circulated, worn by real use. But the core details are still standing, still readable, still defined, still there after over 100 years. Light black layer present, detail still visible underneath. That combination is everything. Do not clean it. I will say this every single time. Because every single time someone destroys a rare coin, it is because they tried to clean it. That light black layer is not dirt. It is 100 years of natural chemistry. It is the value itself. Removing it removes everything. Holder, edges only. PCGS or NGC. Today, in 1918, a young American soldier stepped off a ship in New York Harbor. He had been gone for 2 years. He had seen things no human being should ever see. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a handful of change, and bought a newspaper, maybe with this penny. He read the headline, "War Over," and for the first time in 2 years, he smiled. That penny, that 1 cent piece that bought a newspaper on the happiest day of a soldier's life, kept moving through the roaring 20s, through the Great Depression, through another world war, through every decade of American life since 1918. And as it moved, as one century slowly became another, that light black layer kept forming, quietly, naturally, beautifully, like the penny was holding on to the memory of everything it had witnessed, like it refused to forget. The soldier's penny, born in the year the guns finally went silent, darkened by a century of American memory, and worth $114,000 to the person who stops long enough to recognize it. Check your old pennies tonight. Check the ones that look dark. Check the ones from the early 1900s sitting forgotten in old collections. Because the soldier's penny is still out there, still carrying its light black shadow, still holding the memory of 1918, still waiting for you. Let me bring this all together. 1918 Philadelphia wheat penny. No mint mark, Philadelphia confirmed. Light black natural toning. Front and reverse, matching and even. Fine condition, circulated but detail still fully visible. Deep strike underneath the dark layer, Lincoln's portrait almost three-dimensional. 106 years old. Born in the year the world stopped fighting. If your penny matches every single characteristic I just described, that light black 1 cent coin, that penny most people would spend without looking at, is worth $114,000. For 1 penny, 1 cent. $114,000. Coin 2, 1,910 wheat penny. America's young and hungry. The Wright brothers flew their first airplane just 7 years ago, and the entire country is still dizzy with the possibility of it. Cars are appearing on streets for the first time. Electricity is reaching homes that had never seen a light bulb. America in 1910 feels like a country waking up for the very first time. And in Philadelphia, inside the mint that had been pressing American coins since 1792, something historic happens. A copper disc gets pressed. Abraham Lincoln's face appears on an American coin for the very first time in history. 1910 was only the second year Lincoln had ever appeared on the penny. His portrait was still new, still fresh, still surprising to Americans who had never seen a president's face on their everyday money before. Wheat stalks rise on either side of 1 cent. No mint mark, no letter, just Lincoln, just wheat, just 1 cent. This penny entered a country that was just beginning to understand what it was capable of. And over the next 114 years, It develops something on its surface that tells the story of every single one of those years. Something worth $117,000. Here's what makes this penny the most historically significant coin in this entire series. And I need you to understand something before I explain the surface characteristic. The 1910 Philadelphia Wheat Penny is not just old. It is original. It comes from only the second year Abraham Lincoln ever appeared on American currency. Before 1909, no president had ever been placed on a circulating American coin. It was considered inappropriate, almost arrogant. But in 1909, on the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, everything changed. And by 1910, Americans were still getting used to seeing his face every time they reached into their pocket. This penny carries that original energy, that first-generation feeling. Now, over 114 years, this specific coin developed a light brown layer across both its front and reverse surfaces. Not black, not dark brown, light brown, warm, organic, natural, like the color of old paper in a library book that nobody has opened in decades, like the color of something that has been quietly waiting in the dark for a very long time. But here's what makes this light brown layer on a 1910 penny so extraordinarily rare. 1910 was one of the earliest years of the Lincoln Cent series. The dies were newer, the strikes were deeper, the detail was sharper than almost any other year. And when a deeply struck early series penny develops natural light brown toning in almost fine condition, the detail underneath that warm surface is preserved at a level that later pennies simply cannot match. Lincoln's portrait on the front, pressed deeper than normal. Every line sharper, every feature more defined. The date 1910 bold and unmistakable. The wheat stalks on the reverse, crisp and fully formed. All of it sitting underneath the warm, light brown layer that developed naturally over more than a century. Almost fine condition, meaning this coin lived in the world. Was touched. Was used. Was real. But held on to everything underneath. Light brown bilateral toning. Deep early series strike. Almost fine condition. No mint mark. Philadelphia. 1910. There is almost nothing else like this anywhere in the world. Here's your complete identification guide. Find any old penny and look at the front. Abraham Lincoln facing right. Read the date with complete focus. Does it say 1910? If yes, everything stops. Look below the date for a mint mark. Any letter at all, but D or S? If that space is completely blank, nothing there, no letter of any kind, Philadelphia struck this coin in only the second year Lincoln ever appeared on American money. That empty space is 114 years of history. Study the color under good lighting. Is the penny brown? Not the deep, rich brown of the 1927 penny we discussed. Not the soft, tired brown of the 1942 penny. But a lighter, warmer, more delicate brown, like old parchment, like aged wood, like something that has been resting quietly for over a century. That light brown is your signal. Now check both sides. Is the light brown toning covering the front, across Lincoln's portrait and the fields around him? Now flip it. Is that same warm light brown present on the reverse, across the wheat stalks and 1 cent? Both sides. Matching tone, natural and even. That bilateral toning on a 1910 penny is extraordinarily rare. Look through the warmth, through that light brown surface. Can you still clearly make out Lincoln's portrait? Can you read the date 1910 without difficulty? Can you see the wheat stalks on both sides of the reverse? Almost fine condition means the coin has been circulated. It has lived in the world, but the detail underneath is still holding on. Still readable. Still defined. Still there after 114 years. Feel the surface gently on the very edge. Does the brown feel smooth and natural? Like it grew from the metal itself? Not rough. Not powdery. Not flaky. If everything matches, holder. Edges only. PCGS or NGC. Today. Because what you are holding if it matches everything I just described, is not just a penny. It is one of the rarest early Lincoln cents ever documented. In 1910, an American child reached into his mother's purse and pulled out a penny. He looked at it, really looked at it, and saw Abraham Lincoln staring back at him for the first time in his life. He had never seen a president on a coin before. Nobody had, not for generations. He held that penny up to the light, studied the face, wondered about the man on it, and then, because he was a child, he spent it on candy. That penny kept moving, through 2 world wars, through the Great Depression, through a century of American life that the child who spent it could never have imagined. And as it moved, slowly, quietly, it turned brown, the color of old things, the color of things that have survived, the color of things that deserve to be remembered. 114 years of American history sitting on the surface of 1 copper coin. The firstborn, the second year Lincoln ever appeared on American money. Still brown, still warm, still holding every detail underneath, still waiting for someone who understands what they are holding. 1910 Philadelphia Wheat Penny. No mint mark, Philadelphia confirmed. Light brown natural toning, front and reverse, warm and matching. Almost fine condition, circulated but detail still fully visible. Deep early series strike underneath the brown layer. 114 years old. Born in only the second year Abraham Lincoln ever appeared on American currency. If your penny matches every single characteristic, that warm light brown 1-cent coin, that penny most people would never look at twice, is worth $117,000. For 1 penny, 1 cent. $117,000. Check your old pennies tonight. Check the light brown ones. Check the ones from the early 1900s. Because the firstborn is still out there. Still warm. Still brown. Still carrying 114 years of American history on its surface. And it has been waiting for exactly the right person to finally recognize it. Tonight, let that person be you. Coin 3, 1944. Wheat penny. America is winning. After years of sacrifice and years of rationing, years of gold star flags hanging in windows across the country, the tide of World War II has finally turned. American soldiers are pushing through Europe. The beaches of Normandy have been taken. Victory is no longer a hope. It is a certainty. And back home, factories that had been running 24 hours a day for years are starting to imagine what comes next. What does America look like after the war? What does normal feel like again? And in Philadelphia, the oldest mint in America, the presses are running. A copper disc gets pressed. Abraham Lincoln appears. Wheat stalks rise on either side of 1 cent. No mint mark. No letter. Just Lincoln. Just wheat. Just 1 cent. This penny enters a country that can finally smell victory. A country that has given everything and is about to get everything back. And over the next 80 years, this penny transforms into something nobody expected. Something dark. Something rare. Something worth $47,000. Here's what makes this penny completely unique in this entire series. Because every penny we have discussed carried its own surface story. The 1918 penny wore light black, the shadow of a world recovering from war. The 1910 penny wore light brown, the warmth of America's earliest innocent years. But the 1944 penny, the penny born in the year America was winning its greatest war, went completely dark. A full natural black layer, covering the entire surface, front and back, edge to edge, like the coin absorbed every dark year that came before 1944, every year of fighting, every year of loss, every year of sacrifice, and wore all of it on its surface. Now here's what makes this black layer on a 1944 penny so historically shocking. 1944 was the year copper came back to the penny. In 1943, the government had switched pennies to steel to save copper for the war. Steel pennies, silver-colored, cold, temporary. But in 1944, copper returned. America was confident enough in victory to give copper back to its everyday money. This 1944 Philadelphia penny was part of that first wave of returning copper cents. Fresh copper, new dyes, strong strikes, and that fresh copper, over 80 years, developed one of the deepest, most complete natural black toning patterns ever documented on a Lincoln cent. Old condition, meaning this coin has lived a full life, been circulated, been handled, been spent and passed and touched by countless hands. But underneath that complete black surface, Lincoln is still standing, still defined, still readable, still there, old condition, full black bilateral toning, no mint mark, Philadelphia, 1944. The first year, copper came back, and it went completely dark. Here's your complete identification guide. Step 1. Find any old penny and look at the front. Abraham Lincoln facing right. Read the date with complete attention. Does it say 1944? If yes, do not put that coin down. Step 2. Look below the date for a mint mark. Any letter at all, but D or S? If that space is completely empty, Philadelphia made this coin in the year copper came back to the American penny. In the year America knew it was going to win. Step 3. Look at the color. Hold the coin under direct light. Is it black? Not light black. Not dark brown. Full. Complete. Deep black. Covering the entire surface evenly, front and back. Like a permanent shadow cast over the entire coin. That full black layer is your signal. Step 4. Check both sides. Is the black toning covering the entire front? Across Lincoln's portrait and every surrounding area? Now flip it. Is that same complete black covering the entire reverse? Across the wheat stalks and 1 cent lettering? Both sides. Full coverage. Matching darkness. That complete bilateral black toning on a 1944 no mint mark penny is one of the rarest surface characteristics ever documented on this coin. Step 5. Look through the darkness. This is the most important step. Through that full black surface on the front, can you still make out Lincoln's face? Can you read the date 1944? Can you see the lettering above and below his portrait? Now the reverse. Through the complete black on the reverse, can you still identify the wheat stalks on both sides? Can you read 1 cent? Old condition means the detail has worn, but readable detail underneath full black toning. That is the combination worth $47,000. Step 6. Do not touch the surface. Not with your fingers. Not with a cloth. Not with anything. The black layer on this coin is not dirt. It is 80 years of natural chemistry. It is the value itself. Touching it, rubbing it, cleaning it. Destroyer. Destroys everything in seconds. Holder. Edges only. PCGS or NGC. NGC. Right now, in 1944, an American soldier sitting in a foxhole somewhere in France reached into his pocket. He pulled out a handful of change, counted his cents, and held this penny in his dirty, tired hand. He did not know it was special. He did not know copper had just come back to the penny after a year of steel. He just needed to count his money. He just needed to feel something normal, something from home. In the middle of a war, he spent it. Or maybe he kept it. Maybe he brought it home tucked into the pocket of his uniform. Maybe it sat in a jar on a shelf for decades. While his children grew up, while his grandchildren were born, while the world he fought for kept moving forward, and all that time, quietly, that penny went dark, absorbing every year, holding every memory, wearing the weight of everything that generation survived. The victory penny, born in the year America won its greatest war, darkened by everything that came before it, and worth $47,000 to the person who understands what that darkness means. 1944 Philadelphia Wheat Penny. No mint mark, Philadelphia confirmed. Full natural black toning, front and reverse, complete and even. Old condition, circulated but details still readable underneath. First-year copper returned to the American penny after wartime steel. 80 years of natural chemistry on its surface. If your penny matches every single characteristic, that fully black 1-cent coin, that dark old penny sitting forgotten in a jar somewhere, is worth $47,000 for 1 penny, 1 dark copper cent. $47,000? Check your old pennies tonight. Check the ones that look completely black. Check the ones from the 1940s that nobody has looked at in decades. Because the victory penny is still out there. Still dark. Still holding its detail underneath. Still carrying the memory of the year America won. And it has been waiting in the dark for someone who finally stops to look. Tonight, let that someone be Coin 4, 1,920 wheat penny. America is transforming. Women have just won the right to vote for the very first time in American history. The 19th Amendment, signed into law just months before this penny was pressed. For the first time, half of America that had been silent had a voice, and the country was never going to be the same again. Cities are growing faster than anyone can keep up with. Radios are appearing in living rooms across the nation. America in 1920 is loud and alive and changing by the hour. And in Philadelphia, inside the mint that had been pressing coins since before America was even a country, a copper disc gets pressed. Abraham Lincoln appears. Wheat stalks frame 1 cent, no mint mark. No letter, just Lincoln. Just wheat, just 1 cent. This penny enters a country finding its new voice. A country standing at the beginning of something enormous. And over the next 104 years, time leaves its mark on this coin in a way that nobody planned. Warm, spotted, natural, and worth $103,000. Here's what makes this penny the most visually distinctive coin in this entire series. Because every penny we have looked at carried its toning differently. The 1918 penny wore an even light black layer, uniform across the entire surface. The 1910 penny wore a smooth light brown layer, warm and consistent. The 1944 penny went completely dark, full black coverage front and back. But the 1920 penny did something completely different. It developed light brown spots. Not a uniform layer covering the whole coin. Not an even tone from edge to edge. Specific, concentrated, organic brown spots, appearing naturally across both the front and the reverse, like rain falling on dry earth, like age choosing specific places to leave its mark, like the coin is showing you exactly where time touched it most. Coin experts call this natural spot toning. And on a 1920 Philadelphia wheat penny with no mint mark, it is one of the rarest and most debated surface characteristics in all of Lincoln cent collecting. Here is why it is so valuable. Spot toning is unpredictable. Unlike uniform toning that covers a coin evenly, spot toning develops based on the specific chemistry of individual areas of the coin's surface. Different metal composition in different spots. Different exposure to air and environment over a century. Different stories written in different places on the same coin. And on this specific 1920 penny, those spots developed on both sides simultaneously. Front spots and reverse spots, appearing in a pattern that coin researchers have called almost impossibly rare. Because bilateral spot toning that develops symmetrically across both sides of a coin over more than 100 years, without damaging the underlying detail, has been documented in only a tiny number of verified examples. Lincoln's portrait underneath the spots, still sharp. The date 1920, fully readable. The wheat stalks on the reverse, still clearly defined between and around the spots. Light brown spot toning, bilateral, natural. No mint mark. Philadelphia. 1920. $103,000. Here's your complete step-by-step identification guide. Step 1. Find any old penny. Look at the front. Abraham Lincoln facing right. Read the date slowly and carefully. Does it say 1920? If yes, put everything else down. Step 2. Check below the date for a mint mark. Any letter, a D or S? If that space is completely empty, Philadelphia. 104 years ago. In the year American women voted for the first time. Step 3. Now study the surface very carefully. This step is different from everything I have told you before. You are not looking for an even dark layer. You are not looking for uniform brown coverage. You are looking for spots. Specific areas on the surface of the coin that are darker, warmer, more brown than the rest. Concentrated patches of natural brown toning sitting on the surface. Not scratches, not corrosion, not fingerprints. Smooth, organic brown spots that look like they grew from inside the metal itself. Step 4. Check both sides. Are those brown spots present on the front, across, or around Lincoln's portrait? Now flip it. Are similar brown spots appearing on the reverse, across or around the wheat stalks and lettering? Both sides showing natural brown spot toning. That bilateral characteristic is your most important signal. Step 5. Look between and around the spots. Between the brown areas, can you still clearly see Lincoln's features? Can you read the date 1920? On the reverse, between the spotted areas, can you still identify the wheat stalks? Can you read 1 cent clearly? The spots should be sitting on the coin, not destroying what is underneath. Details still visible between and beneath the spotted toning. That is the combination worth $103,000. Step 6. Do not attempt to remove the spots. I know what you are thinking. Those brown spots look like something that should be cleaned off. They look like damage. They look like something went wrong. But those spots are the value. Removing them removes everything. A cleaned spotted penny goes from $103,000 to worthless. Holder. Edges only. PCGS or NGC. Immediately. In 1920, an American woman walked into a voting booth for the very first time. She had waited her entire life for this moment. She reached into her purse, maybe to check her belongings, and felt this penny between her fingers. 1 cent. Lincoln's face. Wheat stalks. She did not know this penny would one day be worth $103,000. She just knew it was hers. That she had earned the right to be there. That America had finally given her a voice. She voted. And she walked out into a country that would never be the same. That penny kept moving. Through 104 years of American history. Through every change and struggle and triumph this country experienced. And all that time, in certain quiet spots, brown was forming. Slowly. Naturally. Beautifully. Like the coin was marking the places where history touched it most. The silent witness. Born in the year half of America found its voice. Spotted with the marks of 104 years of living. Still holding Lincoln underneath. Still standing after everything. And worth $103,000. To the person who sees beauty where others see spots. 1920 Philadelphia Wheat Penny. No mint mark, Philadelphia confirmed. Natural light brown spot toning, front and reverse, bilateral and organic. Details still clearly visible between and beneath the spotted areas. 104 years old. Born in the year American women voted for the first time. If your penny matches every single characteristic, that spotted brown 1 cent coin, that penny most people would look at and see nothing but age and damage, is worth $103,000. For 1 penny, 1 spotted cent, $103,000. Check your old pennies tonight. Check the ones with brown spots. Check the ones that look like time left its fingerprints on them. Because the silent witness is still out there, still spotted, still warm, still holding Lincoln underneath all of it. And it has been waiting for 104 years for someone who finally understands what those spots mean. Tonight, let that someone be you.